Hello and welcome to Grumpy Old Men. I have three grumpy old men, including myself. One of them is Kev, the other one is Mike. And we're going to start with Mike, who is grumpy about...
temporary traffic lights.
Yes.
Which are becoming more and more widespread.
Less temporary, more constant.
I mean, I saw a guy once at the petrol station and he had a load of them in the back of his truck. And I said to him, it's you,
He was a temporary traffic light distributor.
He was. I said, it's you, isn't it? He said, what? I said, you're the one putting all the temporary traffic lights around here, aren't you? And he kind of looked at me like, yeah, well, what's the problem? I said, well, the problem is too bloody many of them. And he got in his car and drove off. But everywhere I go now, it's almost as though somebody's going ahead of me to put one down. And they take inordinately long. I'm getting surrounded, right? You might remember the story I told a couple of weeks back of when I got 2 tickets for going down a street which is apparently now temporarily during certain hours, not for cars, open. Right?
Yeah.
They've now put a temporary traffic light on that street. And the only other street that I can use to get to where I go to do some shopping and do dry cleaning stuff, that also has a temporary traffic light, but it's a 4-way one, which means that you can sit there.
Are they encouraging you to get your steps in, Mike?
No, because I don't... Well, maybe. They've also shut on one of the other roads.
With a temporary traffic light?
No, with complete just blockage of the road, that you can't get past it. But everywhere I go, whether it's down in Sussex, whether it's in London, there's always some bunch of bozos who are digging something up, and the first thing they do is they get the temporary traffic light out, and they set it up, and they just put it onto red, and they stop you, and you can sit there for minutes at a time.
They're much slower than normal lights, aren't they? They take ages to
I had a phenomenal one this week. So just down the road from me, they were doing some kind of roadworks, and the reason that they had a contraflow with a temporary traffic light is so that they could park their van next to the hole. So the van nose was sticking out that much into the road.
Yeah.
Right. They could have parked the van on the other side, which would have been in a side road, but no, they parked it and they stopped the traffic. And it created, at rush hour, it created a half-hour delay.
Well, the worst thing is when they take a reasonably busy junction in any given street in London Crossroads and they put temporary traffic lights there. And there's no reason for it. They've just decided to make the traffic lights last longer. Yep. So you get 2 cars through, it goes red again. You know, so you end up, it creates mayhem, absolute mayhem, traffic backed up. I'm sure it's down to, we were talking about Sadiq Khan the other week.
Yes.
I'm sure it's down to him because it slows the traffic down.
You mean Sir Sadiq Khan?
No, I never refer to him as that.
Mr. Sadiq Khan.
I call him just
we unknighted
Sadiq.
him on this channel.
Yeah, we definitely don't refer to him as Sir Sadiq Khan. I just think it's absolutely and utterly mad, meaningless, crazy, and it just generally contributes to the lack of wealth of the nation.
Do you think there's anything good that's temporary? Temporary stuff is always annoying.
Wives.
Sobriety. Temporary sobriety is annoying.
I mean,
I don't recommend
temporary
it.
mayors.
Yep, that's also good.
Mayor.
Temporary prime ministers.
Temporary prime
I
minister.
thought you said bears there.
Temporary bears.
Temporary bears are probably quite good as well.
Permanent bears,
you would want one all the time.
Much better.
Now, maybe what Kev needs is some temporary staff because it's another one of Kev's strange grumps this week.
It's lost property.
It's keys and all the other stuff you have to remember now when you leave the house. But it's true.
Like what?
Well, you've got to bring your office pass, your train pass, your wallet, your
You could wear it all on a lanyard.
There was a time, your lanyard. Yeah, there was a time when you just sort of picked up your case and you went to work. You know, now by the time you go, you need a rucksack to get everything ready.
You're not a rucksack kind of guy.
He's forgotten. You know, he's forgotten to mention is his sandwich because he always comes to work with a sandwich.
I haven't today, but I tried to. Yes.
And also that computer. Do you remember that one that gave him a terrible amount of trouble?
The one that got water damage.
The one with the water damage.
How is that now?
It's
where he wore
kind of
the
okay.
X
I did have a
out.
bit of a problem with it today, but I'll tell you about that
Is it
later.
still with the police, that one?
But I'll tell you why I've mentioned keys. I nearly said something then. It will be soon. This is why I've mentioned keys, because you want to lose them. And I went for dinner with Ian Collins and Julie Hartley-Brewer in the Wolsey restaurant on Saturday. And
that's another show.
I
think you should just have cameras following you around.
Yeah, and then I got home
Kev.
about 8 o'clock, and then I went to the local pub with my wife, and I got back about 11.
Great life he's got, isn't it?
And you know, I thought I'd had a couple of drinks, Anyway, I let us in, and then the next day I couldn't find the keys anywhere. So we got that ring thing where you can see. So my wife played back that when we got home.
Literally,
Right.
like
And
a crime.
I was thinking, yeah, I've had a couple of drinks, but I'm all right. Anyways, so there we watched this absolute clown going like this, trying to get the keys into the door. Anyway, I've obviously got into the house and then put the keys somewhere ridiculous, and it took me 2 days to find the damn thing.
Where were they?
I put them. I've got 2 dressing gowns. I don't know why. There's one I don't use often, and one I use all the time. For some reason, and by the way, I
2 dressing gowns.
Yeah.
Right? Why is the one you
be one of my
don't use
grumps
very
next
often?
week. One of my grumps next week is going to be
What have
people
you
who
done
only
in the
have
one you don't
dressing
use
gown.
very often?
He only uses it when there's company in the
Yeah,
house.
no, but I didn't get undressed. But for some
Is that
reason,
the kimono?
No, it's not that.
For conjugal evenings.
You're losing track of my key story. For some reason,
Dressing gown's far
I
more
didn't
interesting,
get
to be
undressed on it. I put the keys in my spare dressing gown pocket.
Spare one?
Yeah, I don't know why.
What colour is the spare?
I think we.
That one's a kind of red, and my main one is black.
Black.
The main one is black.
Black, yeah.
Yeah.
That tells you everything.
Hides the stains. Anyway,
Thanks for that.
I think
Well,
we
it
found
doesn't,
some,
actually.
I
That's
think
the
we
problem.
found something that is good temporary.
Yeah.
Kev should have a temporary carer.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. No.
Well, no, permanent, surely.
Just for the weekend.
Permanent.
Just for the
surely.
weekends
Just
when
for
you've
the
had a couple of
weekends.
drinks.
Yeah.
You get a care of every time you get drunk. That's a good idea.
Come and get me from the
That's the
pub.
way you can earn a living, a drunk
yeah.
carer.
This way you'll never lose anything.
Yeah.
You'll get home
'Cause when you-
fine,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it, 'cause when you get drunk, you lose stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rather than calling a cab,
Yeah.
you just go, oh,
get your carer.
I've had one too many. Can I have my carer, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think it'd be very good. Busybody fines.
Yeah.
Now,
yours.
these have become very prevalent and are handed out left, right, and centre rather than actually just running something properly.
Are these for sort of
Well, say for example, it's like
antisocial behaviour?
I haven't got my dog on a lead.
Oh,
when
yeah.
I should.
Right.
Or I've put the wrong tin in the recycling, or I didn't rinse out my tin before putting it in the recycling.
Or, you know, that guy from Hammersmith Council who put his
bins out too early.
He put his bin out a day early. He got fined £1,000.
Yeah.
Fly tipping.
For fly tipping.
Now, if you think about the things that are wrong in Hammersmith,
Yeah.
that's not one of
Like
them.
the bridge.
Yeah, like
for example.
you know, why don't you fix your bridge?
Yeah.
Rather than fining people £1,000.
What is going on with that bridge?
Yeah.
Well, 4 years.
Well, the Green Zealots don't want to have anybody go over it. That's what's going on.
Yeah, but you say the Green Zealots, they even make cyclists get off now. You can't cycle
Really?
across it.
Can't you?
You can
Why?
walk across it, though.
You
can't
can walk across it.
Can you crawl across it?
Yeah.
Or would you get fined
Well,
for
you
that?
can get your carer to drag you across it.
when you're drunk.
When you're drunk.
When you're drunk, yeah.
But can't cyclists go across
But
it?
what is it? Nobody used to get fined for these kind of things.
No.
When did these fines
I think
become...
it's all takes back to COVID. Because remember when, you'll remember this, I'm sure, when they started to sort of vaguely open things up, and there was all sorts of different demarcation lines. You know, there was a time when we used to go to a pub around the corner, and you were allowed to go into the pub through one door, order a pint,
I know.
and then leave the pub by the other door and go outside the pub and drink the pint.
Yeah.
But technically speaking, you weren't supposed to stand too near the pub. And I remember doing it one day, and one of these marshals came round from Southwark Council.
Oh, I like a marshal.
And went, all right, you're not standing far enough away from the pub. We all had to sort
I'm
of
big
do
on
this
a
kind of
marshal.
shuffling
Remember you said
thing.
to ring from across the road,
That was
didn't
the other
we?
one.
And then walk
Yeah.
across,
But
get...
then you'd have to shuffle away. So, well, how much further away? You'd have to be a bit more over that way. I was like, it's about 2 feet.
I think you're right. I
What's
think
wrong
the
with
COVID era is what engendered this fine obsession.
But at the end of the day,
You're
it
absolutely
is
right.
it's a money generator.
Yeah.
It's not, none of these things are actually affecting anybody.
Right. On the spot fine.
So the bloke who puts his bins out
Yeah.
a day too early, maybe his neighbour will go, oh, he's put his bins out early. That's it. Why does that warrant £1,000 fine?
Well, it doesn't. To be fair, they did rescind it after a while, but nevertheless, they did actually try and put it on him.
But, I mean, it is all of these sort
It's
of
a
things.
viciousness going mad. It's a fishness.
But it is a going
on the rise.
You know, I am in shorts, as we've established.
Yes.
You know, just in case you didn't see,
God,
there we go.
again.
Right? Because it's very hot. How long before we've got a hosepipe ban?
Oh,
yeah, that's
any minute
right.
now.
There will be one.
There'll be a
Any
hosepipe
minute now.
ban.
I think there already is one in West Yorkshire.
You're joking.
Well, no,
Yeah.
but also today, yellow weather warnings.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it? It's so hot.
Yeah.
It's so hot. So, well, can we get fined for sweating too much?
Yeah,
Probably.
you can, yeah.
You might be getting fined soon for not carrying a bottle of water with you. I keep seeing signs. Please carry a bottle of water with you.
Well, you can't go anywhere
Well,
without water.
and the
Why?
announcements.
I don't want to.
announcements.
No, I can't be bothered.
I think what has happened is we are, as a race, we have become much more prone to dehydration. Because if we don't have water, I think we should start finding
I remember
people.
seeing my first ever bottle. I don't know if you remember this. It was in America. I was walking down the street in New York and I saw this model, who looked like a model anyway, carrying a bottle of Evian water. And I thought,
What's going on there?
What is that? And then suddenly everybody had them.
Yeah.
And everybody was walking around with these tiny little bottles of water.
I remember
And I'm
that.
going, wish I'd invented that.
Well, I remember thinking, people are actually going to pay money for water?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
We used to drink it out of a tap.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore, though, because it's full of poo. Anyway, is
shrimp.
water
Speaking of which-
acceptable on the tube?
Well, this is one of the places I see the signs all the time. As you're going through to take your journey, you see a sign that says, please carry water with you on hot days. But the problem for me is not people drinking on the tube, although I'm not very keen on that either. There was a guy actually on the tube the other day, and he was one of these characters who obviously thought quite well of himself. He was a bit older than me, but very fit looking, you know, like he sort of worked out. And he was.
It wasn't Kev, was it?
It was not Kev, no, because he doesn't work out. But this guy was
Very fit looking, though.
drinking out of his bottle, and the bottle was dripping onto the floor, right? And he was, because there was something wrong with the nozzle of it, and he was just like, dripping water onto the floor. And I thought about going, oi, you know, what do you think you're doing?
I mean, he could have come from the dentist and have had his face numb
Yeah,
and not be able to feel that he was
in which case,
dribbling.
don't drink on the bleeding tube.
Yeah.
What's worse, though, are people that eat on the tube. I mean, the tube
That's
is
the
a pretty
problem.
disgusting
And it
place,
stinks,
right?
doesn't it?
Well, also the things that they eat. You know, you see people taking sandwiches out of a plastic wrapper. You see people eating. The worst I think I've seen is somebody eating coleslaw with a spoon.
Well, I've had
sitting
what about
down,
fish and
there's
chips with the smell of vinegar.
Well,
It happens.
I've never seen anyone eating.
I've
never seen anyone eating terribly hot food on the tube.
No, I've seen
it on the train.
I've seen hot food on the tube and on the train.
I've seen it, yeah.
Now, there is a certain well-known sandwich outlet, Pret something or other.
Oh, yeah.
And they do a sort of meatball sub.
Yes.
You get that on a tube.
Yeah.
That is like
Stinks.
someone has just broken wind.
Yeah.
It smells of
exactly.
ass.
So they ban smoking because it's antisocial to the rest of the passengers.
Yeah.
And yet, as Mike says, and you can eat anything you like, no matter how much it stinks. That's ridiculous.
Well, given what
That's
you were saying,
incoherent.
given what you were saying about the sort of nanny estate fines, I'm surprised actually somebody isn't going around fining people
Smelly
for eating
food.
smelly food or eating on the tube.
Yeah,
They
smelly
seem
food.
to have an
Or
absolute
dribbling.
tolerance policy.
Dribbling on the tube.
Dribbling, yeah. I did that once. I fell asleep on a woman, and I woke up.
Did you know her?
No.
And how long were you married to her?
No, not at all. Not long at all. And it was one of those.
She wasn't the first one you'd fallen asleep, dribbled on, though.
No,
was it?
probably not, actually, no. I did know a couple of the people that I did that on. But no, you do it occasionally. It's one of those things, you fall asleep and you kind of
Yeah, that's embarrassing. That.
yeah.
But, Kev, there are more important things to worry about, isn't there?
Well, yeah, because apropos what we were just talking about, it is, of course, getting hot here.
Yes.
We're
about
coming
3
up
days.
for what they say will be a record weekend. In other words, it's beautiful, hot, sunny summer weather.
It's summer, yeah.
I don't know about you,
I
but
think you can tell from the way I'm dressed, Kev.
yeah,
it's
because
summer.
you're wearing shorts, yes.
Yeah.
But it puts you in a
And
good
sort of
mood, doesn't
see-through
it? It's
top.
great. It's great when the weather's
I love
good.
hot weather, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And of course, go on to social media now, and people like Dale Vince and Jim Dale, the weatherman.
What's the thing about Dale?
I thought,
yeah, there's
Jim
something to
Dale, wasn't that Dick-a-Dum
Yeah.
Duff?
That's him, yeah. This one's much less entertaining.
They're telling us now, because the weather's quite hot, they're saying the world is on fire, we're all going to die. So these are people who get really worked up when millions of people cheer up because of the weather. And they go, don't be happy because of this weather.
No, but
it's killing us, don't you know?
But it was like, you know, only this morning, right? I got up. It was a lovely morning.
Yes.
I sat out in my garden.
Yeah. Lovely.
I had a cup of coffee. I was there. I was enjoying the sunshine, and buzz on my phone. Yellow weather warning for heat. I was like, you can't enjoy it even for 10 minutes before somebody comes up and goes, "Oh, you're going to burn."
Well, have you seen
I've put cream on.
Yeah. Have you seen the weather maps now? There's a new colour in town.
Boiling.
So you go red, then you go that dark crimson. Well, they've come up with a new colour. It's like this kind of brown, almost black. So if you look at the maps right now, Paris is brown, almost black. So that is even hotter.
That's not that far from the truth.
That's even hotter than crimson. Even hotter than crimson.
Hotter than crimson.
Anyway, I just don't want to know. I just don't want to know.
But the thing is, look, most people enjoy warm weather.
Of course they do.
Over freezing.
Right.
But we're not. It is all just one of those things that we're no longer allowed to enjoy.
Exactly.
Somebody comes along and goes, "Well, this is terrible. Why?
Global
the sun is out.
warming.
It's
no
nice.
water.
Global warming. Global
Everybody's
boiling.
happier.
Yeah.
You know.
Somebody did a story this week saying that we're going to run out of water in 2050.
Not if we've got enough hosepipe bans.
I've already.
I mean,
Kev's run out of water.
I've always run out of water.
I've got loads.
Well,
Would you
you
like
can share
water?
But I mean, they do these
get your
stories
own.
as if it's something that's actually going to happen. We're never going to run out of water. You have a bloody island surrounded by water.
Yeah, and plus,
And we're not going to catch fire because the weather's nice.
But the other thing is, as it gets warmer, the ice cap will melt. That's more water.
Yeah, exactly
You've
right.
turned ice into water.
They can't have it both ways, can they?
No.
They're just doom mongers.
Plonkers.
These people are unable to take joy in anything.
Dale Vince told me the other day that water was a sort of endangered species.
Do you think?
Well, it's not a species, mate.
Do you think Greta Thunberg likes the warm weather?
Yeah, well, here's the thing about Greta Thunberg, right?
You're a big fan, right?
You're
a big
massive fan. Massive fan. So she's just been to Gaza, or she didn't quite get there.
Not quite.
You know the funniest.
On the Freedom Flotilla.
The funniest thing about the Freedom. You know the funniest thing about the Freedom Flotilla, right? They had this symbolic.
Or the selfie yacht.
This symbolic cargo of performative aid.
Yeah.
It wasn't much, and they ate it all. Yeah. Anyway, the reason she's taken to protesting about Palestine and Gaza is out of sheer disappointment that a confident prediction that humanity will be destroyed by 2023 because of the climate change emergency didn't come off. Yeah, no. She's really sad about that. So
the arse has fallen out of the climate change.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
You know, you've got to find something else to focus on.
Yeah, because it didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't care.
It didn't happen.
If the weather's nice, I'm happy.
Well, and also, let me enjoy it for at least 10 minutes before you send me a yellow health warning.
This is my entire point, Mark.
Yeah.
My entire
yellow
point.
health warning, or even crimson. Anyway.
Dark brown.
Another thing that we're not allowed to enjoy anymore, junk food.
Yeah, that's bad for you, see.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, I don't really like it.
I don't eat much of it.
I don't eat much of it myself.
No.
However, the fact that they are going to, I think it's October this year, 2025, they are going to ban junk food ads before the watershed on TV.
Just in case, like anybody watches it before the watershed.
Well, also
kids do.
Everyone's fast forwarding through the ads anyway.
That's what it's
about.
about.
I've got kids. They've never watched television.
Yeah, but that is the idea of the family watershed.
Yeah, but the families don't watch television like they used to when we were growing up.
But it's not going to stop the television industry banging on about it, is it?
No, but the point
it's
is,
a pointless activity. Is my point.
So it's to protect children against obesity, right? They're not watching. They're not watching the TV.
They're not watching
Every
TV.
kid I see is a fat little sod, so it's not working.
That's because you live in Hampstead.
They are. Well,
They're overfed up there.
Why are kids all so fat these days? When I was a kid, all kids were like skeletons.
Yeah, because we ran everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't get lifts with mummy and daddy.
Little fat little things.
I mean, maybe I've got no point here then. I mean,
everyone's
fat.
I think it's a great point. It's this authoritarianism, governments, politicians, assuming that it's their role to tell us what we can and cannot eat. I'll make those decisions, thank you very much. And if I want to spend my life drinking 10 pints a day and existing totally on fish and chips and fried food and smoke 50 cigarettes a day, I'll do it. It's nothing to do with the politician.
But they have also banned it on the tube. You can't do junk food ads on the tube, but you can eat bloody junk food on the tube.
And inside tube stations, like several I could mention, but I won't, there are fast food outlets.
Yes.
That's a good point.
You know, you can buy the stuff.
Yeah.
You just can't advertise it.
No, so when you come out Bond Street Tube...
That was what I was thinking.
Right. There's a
So
lot
as you
of
come
food
up
there,
the
isn't
Bond Street, you come up
They're
to the
all
top
there.
of the
They're
escalators.
all there.
You are hit by an overwhelming smell of Indian food. Now, I like Indian food, but I don't want to smell it on the tube.
There's a Vietnamese place.
Yep.
There's a McDonald's. There's a Pret. You know.
So whether they advertise it or not, if you want to eat that
it doesn't matter if they advertise it.
I'll tell you what, though. I can see their reasoning. You know, if you're going to have television, you have to talk about the family watershed at 9 p.m. But you're absolutely right insofar as I don't think a ban on junk food ads before 9 o'clock, or indeed on the tube, will make a blind bit of difference to kids stuffing their fat faces with junk food. They'll carry on.
Nobody goes for junk
Ozempic
food
will do that
because they've just seen an advert. I mean, I don't remember ever sitting around watching a TV advert for fast food going, "Oh, I must get some of that. Must get some."
Blimey.
But I mean, this whole idea that we're so stupid that we're influenced by stuff like that. It's like, you know, people eat fast food because they're walking past it. It's there and they like it.
Or sometimes they can
hungry.
drive into the place and get it past them in the car.
That was one of my favourite things I ever did with my son once.
Yeah.
He wanted a KFC.
Yeah.
Right. So we pulled over, through the drive-through, got the KFC, and I just said, "Look, you're not eating that in the car with the windows up, whatever. We're going to pull over, and you can put the bag on the bonnet of the car and eat it outside of the car."
Wow.
Because I didn't want that smell in my car. Right. We managed to
Shame
park.
you're on the M4.
Yeah. No. But what was fascinating was from an anthropological point of view.
Fast food, fast lane, eat it there.
Yeah. Well, from an anthropological point of view, what was fascinating was, unbeknownst to me, I'd parked the car next to the ordering station.
Oops.
So they ordered
Listening
more.
to some of the orders.
Wow.
There is no surprise that there is an obesity crisis in the country.
Well, this is it. They'll buy the basic thing and then they'll have an extra sort of order of something else, which is actually a meal in itself.
But my favourite was the bloke going, "Large chips, no dust."
No dust.
And the guy on the other side, "No dust? You know, that effing dust you put all over it. I don't like that." It's a bit like Kev with the vinegar.
What is the dust?
Some sort of flavouring.
Cocaine or something?
No, some sort of flavouring that they put on the chips. He did not want that on there.
Okay.
But he was vehement about
Dust.
it.
I only went to KFC once with my son who wanted to go there, and I couldn't actually make head nor tail. I ended up having a row with the guy because it said you get three choices or something with this family, blah, whatever.
Why do I have to have a meal?
So I went, okay, and I said, well, can I have this? No, you can't have that. I said, well, it says you can have three choices. I'm choosing one of those. No, you can't have that either. No. I'm like, we can't have three choices then. And he's sitting, he was about 15, he was sitting there just with his head in his hands. Yeah. I said, well, why don't you bloody order then? I can't make head nor tail of the menu.
Well, that's all for this week. We're off to go and get some junk food. Be miserable about it. Thanks to Kev and to Mike.
With some vinegar on it.
Yeah, the street.
Vinegar and some dust.